This is your weekend market review for Friday, January 26, 2024. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your weekend market review for Friday, January 26th, 2024. Hopefully you're doing great. Interesting week. Market getting a little choppy and sloppy at the end of the week. As we've talked about, being on watch, being in no rush to act. If you had long positions, please raise your stops, trail stop. And if you're looking to short, look for things that are getting choppy. You have reference zones. And again, define your risk. If you want to be long, that's fine. I don't think there's much upside. But if you're looking to short, please do not get complacent going into earnings, knowing that anything can happen. And also keep in mind, you have the FOMC meeting next Wednesday. And it is a huge earnings week with all sorts of fun tech, commodity, material, whatever, oil, gas, everything out there and more. So if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room. A link is in the description below. I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. You guys are awesome. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out the Back to Basics education trading videos. It's also on my website, tradingagent.com. Please check out the recommended reading. Get your interactive brokers. I'm telling you, there's going to be a brokerage that goes out of business at some point. I have zero doubt. Don't have your money stuck. And also, too, make sure you're getting that 5.5%. I mean, I just got my, 1099 KS, IG, AB, CD, whatever. And I was very happy about 5.5% on my cash. Not going to complain about that. So, again, new to the channel. Check it all out. Follow on Twitter as well, posting a lot of trades. Talked about the KOLD trade. That worked out pretty good. By the end of the day, if you shorted in the 108 plus when we talked about it, it got down to 102. All right, let's talk about it all. All right, CME watch tool. We know next week, not a happening. Not a mucho. Right? Like nothing. So if you have any questions, again, do not be surprised. 0%, basically. Next meeting's where it gets a little dicey, so of course it's always going to come down to what the feds say. I'm asking rhetorically what the feds will say. Bitcoin. We talked about the 20% pullback. It was due to bounce, or it could crash back down, in my opinion. Again, either way, we talked about being an inflection point near term because you dropped 20%. All right, now watch this 42,000 area. Again, I think the best time to buy commodities, materials, gold, Bitcoin will be when the feds actually pivot. Oil, again, rallying, not surprised. We talked about it. It's got a huge short position. We got to fill the SPR. It's going to be choppy and sloppy. Natural gas, I love this trade. I don't think there's much downside here. Just keep that in mind. So loving the price action, 11. Dollar make you holler. Take out the dividend, right? Here's the big div. I mean, it's basically would have held the 200-day and be rolling over the 100-day. Dollar rising, someone knows something. TLT, we talked about it failing up here, and now look where it's holding. Near term, could he call it a big head and shoulders bottom? It's possible. Again, I'm not really too much concerned about trading bonds, just watching volatility in the bond market. VIX, talked about the gift down here. But again, if you've had puts, yeah, you've probably gotten crushed in some names. In some names, you've done okay. But if you shorted tech, you got blasted. However, we'll talk about some of the tech trades we put on today. That makes sense to me. But again, define your risk. Do not sit here with a thumb up your, you know what, going, oh, it's going to be okay, and just make assumptions. Again, you will be wrong. I will be wrong. Everyone will be wrong. So set your stops. Define your risk. Vixen starting to, looks like it's definitely bottom. Vivix, just look at this action. Up, down. Here you go. Seems to be holding. Just keep an eye on it. SPY, big week up. Not surprised, taking a little break. But look at the last 3 days. This is where I got stopped out. I told guys and gals, friends, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a couple days off. All right, today's action gave me a little more confidence. Again, we have the FOMC meeting and some more earnings. I'm not going to go gangbusters crazy. All the shorts I did was about a third of what I would put in. So again, if I lose a third of the size of my trading, it's less painful. QQQ, getting tired. As we talked about, the IWM has been lagging, and it continues to lag and continues to act like an absolute POS. DIA holding up pretty well, right? Pretty well. Can't argue with that. Gold. We've said this. Same thing as Bitcoin. Like, don't chase it. Let it pull back. Because again, if they flush the market out, liquidity pulls everything out. If all liquidity gets pulled out, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. The anomaly would be for it to go up. If you actually study the past with silver and the miners as well, when the market dumps before a pivot, these things get absolutely destroyed. I've proven, and again, if you look at the monthly and go look back at what happened in 2008, 2009, what happened with COVID, slam, jam, baby, Phi Sigma Gemma, GDX. I mean, these things are just, gold's on the breakout point, but why are the miners, silver's just so bad? Tells you somebody knows something. AG, somebody knows something. Again, clearly tradable short-term bottoms. Talked about it. Newmont. I mean, this thing just doesn't make sense. But it's not really that juicy. I mean, I'm looking at that gap fill. I've seen these things chop for way too long. It's just, again, you got to take into account risk versus reward. I just don't think there's much upside until the market does the flipper. Taiwan Semi took the short today. Got to give a shout out to Jay Solstice. He said 2-day range. He shorted yesterday up at once 18s. Nice. I was just looking for a pop this AM. Got it. Basically the reference of yesterday's open, near 118. All right, cool beans. We talked about Micron being an absolute turd basket, but riding the whole wave of AI. Okay, we'll see how that lasts. AM Dizzle. We talked about the reason why I was going nuts. All these brokerages had to upgrade and change their price targets, or they look like idiots. Notice all the volume at the highs. I would be very, very skeptical that this isn't a short-term high at worst. And meaning, like, it could chop up here, but then longer term, I think it's a major. At worst, you're going to do this, or you're going to do these straight line moves, and it's this. And then you might head and shoulders or something. This, again, remember, the first dip will and should get bought, but I think you're getting closer to the highs than not. But again, you can't know anything for sure. So we could sit around and speculate all day. If you want to take the trade, just keep an eye on it. Look at NVIDIA. It's getting, just silly. Intellectual property, good earnings. Again, I've said this and I'm on record. Like, I don't see strength in the chip sector except for basically NVIDIA, AMD, and a few other names. But overall, again, it's a competitive market. And I think what we've talked about, and we'll say it, and I can say it again, China restrictions. Well, China tried to load up before the restrictions go in place. Adobe talked about this dropping post earnings, filling the gap. Pretty interesting. Keep an eye on it. Apple, we know the sales are slowing in China heavily. This has been a great trading stock. We talked about it. Trading. Said this week, if you want to short it up here, it makes sense. Just be careful. They have earnings on Thursday after the close. Amazonians holding up pretty well. Got to give it credit. This is one I would not step in front of. At this point, I thought it was toast, but guess what? Jammed higher. Meta, Zuckerberg can't sell it fast enough. All right, well, again, I'm not going to be step in front of this train. I've tried and failed. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Because again, I look at it and go, it just went from 89 up to 390. Okay. And it had some chop. It had a little bit of wins here and there, but in the end, it's clearly wrong. But it's like, okay, you tell me what the best risk reward is. CRM, another one that's holding up again. They announced, I think they're cutting a couple thousand jobs. Everything must be everything. It'd be great. GOOG, holding up, coming in the upper trend bound. Choo-choo, keep an eye on it. But again, keep in mind, Microsoft, some of these names, they have earnings coming up. Be careful. At 618, NDAQ, again, I like it up here to short. Makes sense to me. Talked about the exchange over time will have way lower volumes. MicroStrategy, we talked about it. Hey, look at that. Said if you wanted a long, we talked about, hey, look, it's multi-day ranging down here. It's probably due to pop if Bitcoin pops, and there you go. Look, there it is. The Netflix. Look at this gap up. It said watch the 570s. Okay, now you've got a reference. Put that in your book. Watch it. Roblox. Talked about this one failing at 47 just every single time. Good old TSLA. Here you go. Gap's down. We've said there's a reason why people haven't been buying it. And it's like, well, if Trump is polling so well and he's going to end all of the requirements for electric cars, and then you're also going to see the end of a lot of subsidies potentially, there's a reason why it's been crap. Again, we told you about the short up here. Here you go. Again, I have zero desire to buy this stock. Airbnb. Was watching it today. Again, okay. Gets back to the top of the range. Keep an eye on it. Again, you got very clear references. Costco, first dip getting bought. Again, they're getting into China, but to me, it's like, is China really that strong? No. It's not. Starbucks, another global growth name that's it's just evaporated. FedEx chopping post earnings. Again, gap down. Caterpillar, we said, watch the trend line up here. Now you have a 2-day range, but keep in mind, I think Caterpillar has earnings on the 5th. I don't know if it's going to unload unless the market unloads, but man, you've got great references. Nucor Steel has earnings, I think, on Monday after the close. Keep an eye on that. Letter X, as we talked about, I don't think it's going to get murdered because I don't think Nippon Steel is going to be able to, that deal is not going through. But I think there's other bidders, so it probably holds up. VALE, another global growth name. I mean, you can trade these names. I mean, there's another China stimulus, but we've talked about why China stimulus is ineffective because the populace just stopped paying their bills. Arrow, here's a copper name that we like long-term, but just waiting for dips. CCJ, earnings next Tuesday morning. Probably would not step in front of this one. It's holding the 20-day. If it rips up higher, I might take profit. I would take profits if you're long it. CF, again, we love ag names. They're just let them play out. They all look just stuck in the rut, right? Again, Mosaics, I mean, that doesn't look good if it's holding the lows. NTR, same thing. Aaron, Alcoa, chopping around. Again, XLF, this is why I use stops. Here it goes. Going a little higher, which is why we have that 1.25. Look at the trend line. I mean, again, I think the banks will eat all the dirt from the next recession. But you know what? You're sometimes wrong. It's just the nature of the beast. JP Mo, again, I have zero doubt in my mind that this candle is the high, but are we going to retest? Thought the 20-day was going to be it, but again, the market just seems to like float higher. I'd watch the 173 area. If it gets over it, you're going back to the highs. It's just the nature of the beast. Retest, retest, reset. Morgan Stanley, I'd be watching the 20-day and the gap fill. Talked about that one. Bank of America, chopping. I'd watch this. Man, I'd watch the 34 area for a head and shoulders top. The Goldman Sachs and the slacks, chop top. But until it breaks this area, I don't think it's going to break down. Carry, the no doubt, zero doubt fail zone. Watch the 52, 53 area. You're welcome, Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello. Last but not least, some of these names, look at XBI. We talked about it getting absolutely throttled. And here it comes back to its big choppy range. Be careful. All right, solar. There again, not many. Everyone's always talking junk. And then they're like, do you remember when we told you solar was dead? Novice gap trap, chop top, fail. And again, I think solar is just, it's not going to, unless, not anytime soon there's a catalyst for it to go higher. ENPH, that's why I like these shorts on pops. I've said this, I'm on record every time. Oof, if we come back here, call me. Call me maybe. For solar, same thing. Said just look for the pops. Short. HYG, again, you've got to be the dumbest person on planet to buy corporate debt going into a recession. Buena suerte with that. Good luck with that. Good old oil. I mean, here you go. Talked about the choppy sloppiness, but yesterday, I mean, what did I say like a couple days ago? I'm like, don't be surprised if it rises if it's going to continue up. Talked about UNG. This is post reverse splits. Typically a good time to buy this at a bottom. Again, do not let it get below 18. If you buy it, please don't, because it could melt like butter. Oof, the best trade, again, I like is shorting the KLD. Like that wick. Again, it could be choppy, but get as high as you can. And not from marijuana, but from trying to short this near the highs. Sorry if that reference doesn't make you laugh, but to me it does. CVE, we talked about this getting down here. Not get the alarm, but we got the low end of range. Little poppy pop. Valero, man, got to give these gasoline names, I mean, credit. I mean, that looks like at least a gap fill. That one's tough. ExxonMobil, we said, look at the breakdown, but watch what happens if it rallies. And here, these names come ripping right back. So you're back above resistance. You got to be careful with it. MPC holding at the highs. So again, this is why we said like lay off. Again, I'm not loving commodities, but I'm not going to short them either. Like I just don't think there's much downside until we flush. And then we flush, and it's like they'll probably get dragged down. EQT is another one we keep an eye on. Just Occidental. This thing's going nowhere. I apologize. Buffett is just loving this. He's like 68 to 55. I'm just going to sell. Cover calls, XOP, forgot to do this one earlier. Again, we talked about the backside of the trend line. Hence, we're like, ooh, these names could rally. And they did. Clear as day. We'll end it with the Flex LNG. Remember, I love the idea of the U.S. being a natural gas exporter. I know Congress folks have been buying this stock. Why are they buying this? Good question, right? Somebody knows something. All right, if you have any questions, use the Calendly link below. Hit me up if you ever have any real estate needs. And again, I appreciate all the referrals, love, support. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Again, have a great weekend. Be careful going into FOMC, major earnings next week, and jobs numbers on Friday. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.